Hmm. Okay, now I'm going to cough. Hello and welcome to our audience and panel. And we are here from the Sacred You community, where we desire to ignite amazing conversations. Sorry, I don't know why this has just started to happen. And today's conversation is about spiritual alchemy and life affirmation and transforming the self. And alchemy has been a hot topic for a long, long time and shrouded in mystery, earth elements, and incantations. So, we're going to be talking about this today, and I have some questions for the panel. But before we move on, sorry, before we move on, I would love to have each of our beautiful ladies here introduce themselves, and then I can introduce myself after I have my coughing fit. So, Jo.
Yeah, hi everybody, and lovely to meet the new ladies on the panel today. I'm excited about this topic as well because it is truly a journey, spiritual alchemy. I'm an I was going to say an empath coach, an empowerment coach. I work with business women, entrepreneurs who are struggling with overwhelm and anxiety. I am qualified in neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis, and it's as a pathway to go deeper into themselves and find what is blocking and stopping them from, moving in the direction they want in their lives. So I work primarily with women, but I have got a couple of men. So yeah, I'm really excited for today's chat.
Beautiful, and welcome, Jo. And Elizabeth.
Good evening and good day to everyone. I'm Elizabeth Kipp. I'm in Lawrence, Kansas, right in the center of the United States. I'm a stress management and historical trauma specialist, trauma trained and yoga informed addiction recovery coach, and ancestral clearing practitioner. That sounds like a lot of hats. It's all really under stress management. And really a huge part of the work that I do brings in the spiritual elements, the spiritual perspective, and it really alchemizes the healing process. And I'm so thrilled to be here today with everyone else.
Thank you and welcome. Jessica, would you like to share a bit about yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Jessica Satori. I live near Seattle in the States, and I do professional speaking. That's my thing. I like to speak about leadership, entrepreneurship, and transformational teams. And I think alchemy and transformation are linked hand in hand. I'm also a professor and a poet. And poetry has an amazing alchemy as I write poetry. So I'm so thrilled to be here.
Oh, welcome. And we're happy to have you here too. I'm Julie Nelson, and like Elizabeth, I wear a few hats. And I work with women to support them and lead them in rising unapologetically and really tapping into their sacred sensuality and owning it. And I do this using the power and pleasure of botanical perfumery or scents, astrology. Sometimes I bring art into it, and other different divinations. And also, I am a practicing witch, so I use a lot of ritual and ceremony, and this has been all of those things I have been doing for decades. And it's very powerful, very much about alchemy and transforming ourselves into also creating a beautiful, magical life, which is what we all desire. Before I go on to, and we look into the questions and have our discussion, know that everybody's links will be in the comments below. So you can tap into any of the ladies here and myself and also ask questions in the comments. We encourage questions and it helps to bring up more juicy conversation. So first of all, first question, what are some common challenges individuals or yourself face on their path to transformation? So this may be examples of clients as well, of course, without giving their names. And how does spiritual alchemy address these challenges? Elizabeth, would you like to go first?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. So I work with trauma, and I also work with yoga. And when we are carrying trauma, or unresolved trauma, we have issues around protection. That's earth element, right? We have issues around creativity. We have creative blocks. That's water element. We have issues around standing in our power. That's fire element. We have issues around the heart, air element. From a yogic point of view, this is kind of the way the yogis look at it. And so spiritual alchemy, one of the things, just as a really quick example, we get energy stuck in the body as a result of unresolved trauma. And you can bring in the breath, it's the air element. You can bring in the breath and teach people how to use the breath, leverage the power of the breath to move that energy up and out in a gentle, safe way. That would be my answer. Yeah. Oh, you're muted, Julie. You're muted, Julie.
I love that you brought the elements into it. Thank you. That's my trick. Joe.
Yes. So common challenge individuals face, and I find this particular one is very common with my clients. I also work with trauma as well. We go into the, parts of ourselves, and this one is that I find people are very fearful of, and that's identity. Like really having to change themselves in order to connect with that soul self. Because let's face it, spiritual alchemy is about, it's connecting with, it's a transformational journey to connect deeply to the soul self, the person that you truly are. And, the fear of changing who you've been for so long, particularly if you've been on the planet for a long time. It's that, what am I going to lose in that process? Because the fear brain, the, brain that keeps us safe, the part of us that, the automated, the trained brain that's kept you safe for so long. Limbic, that's the one that keeps you there, keeps you safe. It means that, you have to change your identity to actually connect with that. So what am I going to lose in order to gain where I'm going? So it really requires some gentle massaging in to get to that and get a flavor of that, so that you know that it is worth it, right? What you see down there is so worth it to become that person that you truly want to be. So I think that is like, because it takes some self-awareness too, doesn't it? Like, even if you're not working with a coach or somebody that is trained or specialist in this area, it does take some self-awareness to even get to that point, to want to go there, right? So stepping into the unknown is a big one. And and it's something that I find it comes up a lot. Yeah. So I think that's my answer for that one. And how do we,
I agree.
yeah.
They're kind of my words, like the limbic brain does want to keep us safe. In doing that, it can keep us stuck because it used to be known as our smell brain or survival brain. And that's when all that talk comes in, and it's often referred to as the monkey brain these days, and all that chatter. And I'm just going to add to that when that happens, one of the things that we can do is talk back to our limbic brain. And that's a practice that I do often, because even though I've been working with the limbic brain, as Joe knows, through the power of scent and that, because it's our strongest smell, so we can create new neural pathways in that through using the power of scent and clear intentions. Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to go out and do some, whatever it might be. And it's something new, but there's a little bit of fear there. And then it comes in and your mind chatters going, I don't really feel like this. I don't want to go, or it might feel very uncomfortable or put you into a vulnerable state. And so what you can do with that to help navigate that is talk back to your limbic brain. And I simply say, you know what, I hear you, but I've got this and I can do this. And I think that's a really good tip as well. And retraining the brain is such a powerful path to transformation. It's mind alchemy. It's the brain alchemy. So thank you. That was, really good. Jessica. Unmute, lovely, doing my trick.
It'd be so great if it just clicked on.
Yeah.
But so I work with individuals and teams. So it's always so interesting to work with an individual as they are one-on-one, but when they get in part of a team, how interesting their personalities can change. And one of the things I really look a lot at is, are people willing to change? That's the first thing. And there was something that Joe said. I'm trying to think of what it is. Anyway, people have to be willing to be cooked to be able to change. And that's one really key part of alchemy, is that heating. And there was a social scientist who talked about, there's 4 stages, general stages of group development. There's the forming, storming, norming, and performing. And that storming part is so important to how are we going to get through this conflict to be able to be a high performance team. And alchemy has everything to do with that. So you have to be in this beaker. And I think I would also, I know what it was, the fear, because there's territory involved when there's a group of who has what projects, who has what, and what is the stakes. So fear and the willingness to change, I say, are the 2 very critical parts.
Yes, which brings me to the book by Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Absolutely.
And it's true. And I think, like, to get to that really alchemical transformational stage, there's always inner work to do, and acknowledging that that's where we're at and that's where we can start is very powerful. And thank you. That was really good, Jessica. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That was like my Bible about 35 years ago, and it really helped me to transform my life because I spent many a day and hour at night while my daughter was in bed writing affirmations, using the power of essential oils to help shift and create a better mindset and a stronger mindset, alchemize myself.
I would love to try that in a group, in a team, bring in the essential oils. Right.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Connect with me. I'm a clinical aromatherapist of 31 years. So this is how I work a lot with people. It's my main tool. Yeah, it's very powerful. So our second question, can you share I think I've already done this myself, but can you share a personal experience where you applied an alchemical principle to overcome a personal change? So, Jessica, let's go back to you first.
I think that alchemical principles really help me when I have a difficult task to do, such as either being on the phone with having maybe to the computer company or to a healthcare hospital to resolve a bill, or to collect money from people who haven't paid. That's a huge one for me, because you have to go through all this transformation of how did you relate to money when you were younger, of begging or pleading or victimizing. And I really had to do a lot of work around alchemy to make myself stronger, to when I get on those calls, this is what I need, this is what I need from you. And I find myself the last couple of days doing a lot of those calls, and just to be in your power. And it so helps me to remember who I am when I remember these principles.
I love that. And it is very transformational, empowering, unapologetic, which is what we all desire to be. And I just want to jump in and give another tip that jumped out at me, because the elements that we work with in the Western tradition of the earth, air, fire, and water, which we can use with alchemy. And one of the most powerful things is to know your elemental ratio in your astrological cosmic blueprint, because some of us are balanced and some of us are not. And we can and I'll give an example. I've only got one earth in my chart, and I have to work every day, and it's not hard. It comes naturally. I mean, before I even understood this, I love wooden floorboards and wooden furniture and antique wooden furniture, which brought the element of earth into my life. I would be very happy to live in a little cottage in the forest surrounded by big trees. That's bringing in the earth element for me. And that is an alchemy of its own, working with the elements like that. So I encourage people to look at that elemental ratio. And if you're balanced, that's fantastic. And if you're not, you can bring in the different elements in different ways, by food and how you dress and how you speak. Yeah, it's very powerful. Jo.
Yeah, I really love what Jessica shared there, and working with those old patterns, right, that we carry. And money is a big one. It's such a big one for many of us, and because it goes back to self-value, self-worth, doesn't it? Essentially, and how we've been programmed to respond to that or react to that. But for me, a personal change, I think, and to go back again to the question one, it's like most people, access the gateway to self and spiritual alchemy often through forced change. Something has happened, and that was in my case, something out of the blue happened, which threw me a spanner and just I had to change. I had to find a different path. I had to find a different way. And this is going back 30, 40 years ago. But I found Louise L. Hay's book. I was guided. So this is another element, right? Is being open to receive and listening for the guidance. But through that period as a single mum of 4 and looking for answers, I found myself in an ashram. And for me, I mean, oh my goodness, just to think of it, and I often play the chants through my, music system, and it just brings such joy and actually brings you to that place of feeling connected to soul self. So I used to go every Friday night, 4 kids. Children would go into the children's, space and have their little yoga mats, and I would go into the big room and just chant my little heart out, like sing my little heart out until it was euphoric, right? And this was my one thing each week on a Friday night that got me through. And it was that deep connection. And often would feel the shifts come through out of that process, and that would carry me through. So that's one experience, but there's so many. I mean, I've gone on to do different other spiritual schools since, and, really, going deep with the work. Okay. But yeah, I felt that's what came to me. I went, wow, it was such a profound shift in my experience in my life. And it's what kept me going to be able to do what I had to do to bring up these children, on a smell of an oil rag.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love chanting. And as you're doing that too, you're in a community of people whose vibration, I'm getting goosebumps just saying that, because I've been in that kind of environment where there's a lot of people chanting, and it is true alchemy. It is very magical. So goosebumpy. I love that share. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Elizabeth?
Well, I love the chanting. I actually teach mantra, and I bring in the ancestor clearing so that anybody, before we teach the mantra, how to leverage the body to really vibrate the body with sound. I bring in ancestor clearing to help people clear whatever blocks they have around their voice, right? And then we're off to the races. It's kind of fun. And I just wanted to say, I tend to get, especially when if I do 5 days at a yoga event where we're just kind of doing that work, root vegetables in my food, because I get kind of up here and I need to get balance. And my element that in acupuncture on that model is wood. So I'm not sure what it is your model, but I'm Capricorn in 3 houses, whatever that is. It's a lot. And the earth element's just super important for me. I will say I had a personal experience of major transformation after years of a lot of conditioning around don't show your emotions. So lots of behavior around suppressing emotion. And I went through a pain management program and I kind of healed from all that conditioning, and I was also healing from kind of detoxing from a prescription medication, which kind of had me suppressed as well. And I woke up like I was awake, and I didn't know what to do with any of these emotions. And I remembered the only thing they would just well up, and I'd just be like lit up with one emotion or another. And the only thing I had space for was the breath. And so I leaned into the breath, and it was the bridge through all of it. And there was so much alchemy and transformational energy that helped take me into and through. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a fanatic about the breath. Yeah.
Oh, breathing keeps us alive. It's like our life force. So I hear you. I'm just loving everything that you're all sharing. Like, I'm really feeling the energy, and I'm just goosebumpy. And I'm sure that our audience, or when people watch the replay, will feel the same. It's very powerful. So thank you. And something that you even said, like, I just took a note and thought, releasing our emotions with being held, or where it's not in a and anger is actually okay, but that in itself is alchemy, isn't it? Like, because when we release it instead of holding it in our bodies, we transform. So there's so many ways, and through our breath, like, I'm getting excited with this conversation. Okay. Hey, we're doing really well. This is very powerful. So question number 3 is, how do the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water, and of course, Elizabeth, bring because you work with the 5 elements with acupuncture, please bring that in, relate to spiritual alchemy and personal transformation. I tapped into that a little bit as well. So let's go, Joe.
Yeah, I just I love that, and the food as well. Like, who would have thought, like, using the food to alchemize your body and the root vegetables and all of that, because I'm right into nutrition and growing food and permaculture, the whole bit. But thanks for sharing that, Elizabeth. That is a great perspective. But breath work as well. I just the elements is something that I feel for myself personally has evolved naturally from just doing the work, if that makes sense. Like, I know in a lot of, like, for you, Julie, in astrology and what Elizabeth does, it's a big part of understanding it. And I know, the elements, earth, air, water, fire, and have learnt about it along the way, but it hasn't been my main focus. However, I also know that I have a lot of earth. I'm very grounded. I probably don't have a lot of air, right? But I've worked very hard to connect to the spiritual realm, right? Yes. And then the fire, for me, is that place in the belly where I can express and ask for what I want. And so, yeah, it's not my expertise as such, but I understand it enough to know that, I have all parts of that and how to work with that, if that makes sense. And I think it's because I probably tuned into my body, and I let my body, I do a lot of yoga. I'd let my body guide me. And meditation. Like, I know when there's resistance, it's the element that I need to work with. That it's interesting for me. So I hope that makes sense. And I'm excited to learn more from you ladies, because you do bring that into your work more intentionally. But it's almost like an intuitive thing for me, knowing. Was that the question?
Yeah. Look, that's perfect. And what came to me for you, you mentioned that you think you might be lacking in air. Well, our breath can reinforce the element of air, and astrologically, air represents communication. And I also believe that as we mature and grow into ourselves, our experiences in life, of course, we understand ourselves a lot better, and we transform into bringing or using the tools that work for us intuitively, which is a natural alchemy. So yeah, absolutely. It's very powerful because you have that knowing. It's, what's that saying? Oh gosh, I can't even think of a name at the moment. Abraham and Esther Hicks, you know, be tuned in, tapped in, and
yeah,
turned
turned
on.
on, yeah,
Or
tuned in,
turned on, tuned in, tapped in, or
yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's what we are.
Yeah. And I believe, like you said, when you're doing the work, you are tuning in, tapping in, you know, turning yourself on. You're looking for those parts of yourself that need the nurturing, that need that holding. And in that holding, the alchemy, the transformation and the alchemy becomes, yeah.
It's trusting ourselves, isn't it? It's trusting our intuition, which when we're working in these environments comes to us more naturally. So it's easier for us, not always easy, but because we have that understanding and we do the work.
Yeah.
And that's why we all do what we do, to help others, encourage others, and hold others to alchemize themselves and transform their lives.
100%, 100% is such a, huge part of it. And I know that like water represents emotions, intuition. So I know the basics of that. So I guess it's that tapping into those areas to recognize the elements.
Yeah.
Like the air is intellect, isn't it? Intellect, communication, like you said.
Intellect, communication. And so air and fire are masculine energies, and earth and water are feminine. So we can use it like that as well.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to what Elizabeth has. I've studied a little bit about the 5 elements, but for me, it kind of, I don't know, it doesn't fit, but that's okay because we're all unique individuals, and that's just how we learn from each other. So Elizabeth.
Well, I'm not really that well studied in the 5-element system of acupuncture, but I am somewhat studied in the 5-element system of yoga. And they do kind of track each other, but I just have spent so much more time in the yogic space. And so I'll bring in the, which I think is fun to work with, and I work with it a lot, is the 7 chakra system. The energy center, 7 energy centers. So the root is the base of the spine is the earth element. The sacral area is the water element. The solar plexus is the fire element. Heart area is air. Then the throat would be ether or space. The third eye then is light, and the crown is beyond form. And that would be our kind of spiritual connection there. So all these different energy centers have qualities about them. And what's interesting is if I have a block around my throat, you can hear a little bit of right there. I'm going through some stress in my life around my own expression, so you can see it's getting caught there, right? In order for me to really do the clearing work, I have to start at the root and work my way up to make sure that the lower chakras are cleared, and then clear the throat, right? Yeah. So that's another an important piece. And there's actually some chanting that you can do, very focused for each chakra. There's a sound, and there's a mudra as well for each energy funnel there. And anyway, so that's kind of how you would work with that in yoga. Yeah. I did a Kriya, which is a series of movements for a specific outcome this morning around frustration energy, which you can also use it for moving anger. But for me, it was just frustration, having to, do stuff, a lot of unknown stuff I've never done before. And it had to be, the outcome is important. And, I don't want to be attached to the outcome and all that stuff. Right. And I did a very specific movement, which is kind of more heart related, and solar plexus related to get, leverage the energy of the fire energy and the air energy, and not have it be stuck. If you get that frustration energy stuck, it ends up in the liver and it goes into the skin, and it can be a problem. So, and it's not saying just doing movement practice will do it all, but we did directed movement practice, and then I did my own inner work, right? So it's supportive of that, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I often I love using food to help balance the chakras. I think it's really powerful, and of course the essential oils. And I just drew a pentagram too, because it has all the elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. It's hard to see, but so yeah, there are 5 elements, but a lot of it's not a part of astrology, but in the you know, pagan ways or witchcraft, there is that 5th element of spirit, which is our crown or higher spirit. So I love working with the chakras. It's beautiful. And I love, perhaps Elizabeth, with mentioning that in the group, you might want to pop in perhaps a YouTube video or something, or if you've got something about the mudras and the chant and the chakras, because I think that would be helpful, because some people might go, what? You know, so then they can look it up. Jessica.
Yeah, there's so many things, so many interesting things, and one of the first things I wanted to say is how many different systems they all relate to each other. So the elements, the chakras, the Enneagram, there's so many systems and so many relations between the systems. I am probably 3/4 fire, so I have to watch it when I get on the phone, right? And but I also have a lot of water and not so much the ground. And so grounding is very important. And
Yes.
also air. And interestingly enough, I found out that in a couple of different tribes, the word for air and breath is the same word as poetry. They're related. So that's how I get my poetry. But I do
love
have
that.
yeah. So I work it that way, but I also have a Sangha that I belong to. And then I do Gregorian chant. So it's all very different, but we're all related. It's amazing how we're all related.
I agree. I think whatever lifestyle belief system that you're in, we all really want to achieve or desire to achieve the same thing and come from the same source, whatever it is that you believe. It's all connected. Gregorian chanting would be amazing. I love that. And with you, with all of your fire, what you and because you're aware of the earth, because fire can burn you out. So it's good that you have that awareness. I'm predominantly water, so and air, so I can get lost up there with the pixies or down in the deep dark ocean. So I've got medium fire, so you know, I'm just like, so yeah, it's really funny when you know yourself, and when you start going into that particular element that you've got so much off, and you're aware of it, and you can go, I need to come down to Mother Earth. I so get it. Oh, fabulous. Okay. So, wow, we've done so well. We'll have a bit more time to chat with these questions. This is fantastic. And it's very clear. So thank you all. What do you see in the future of spiritual alchemy in modern society and in individual spiritual practices? Can I just say to add to that, I think that awareness is key first and above. If people aren't aware of spiritual alchemy, then they may be stuck or not be able to move forth or create that alchemy and transformation in their life. So, Jessica, let's go with you first again.
Okay, well, I see there's a very strong future because people are interested in alchemy. I was interested as a young kid watching, seeing these photographs and drawings, and then seeing Isaac Newton, and so that was my foray into science. So it wasn't just the alchemy, here's the beginning of chemistry, and it just opened this vast world of astronomy and other things. I also think that it's a way to, when I work with teams, I also try to work with them as tribes. Some people have real baggage with we're a family because they didn't grow up in a strong family system. And so don't make me go back to my family, but can we forge a tribe? And so I think that's really important. And part of that tribal formation is the alchemy part of it.
Yes. Yes. Bringing all the different energies of the tribe to, yeah, I love that. Thank you. That's very powerful. Elizabeth.
Well, thank you, Jessica. You spoke to the group part. I love that you're bringing that in, the group concept of oneness, right? And what I'll add to this question is, I see the future of spiritual alchemy as an understanding in our bones that the mind, body, and spirit are one. And we're actually all one. So the group concept that Jessica's bringing in, and then the understanding that the individual is this, you can't separate mind, body from spirit, and what you do to one, you did to all. And I just feel like we're probably getting back to, we were there a long time ago, and we're just kind of getting back there again. But that's kind of what I see.
Yeah, I love that too. Very powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Joe, sorry, I'm just in thought with the words that you're all sharing, and my mind is going a bit crazy up here, and I'm seeing like little movies run in my head. So I went off in a thing then when you were speaking.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? And I think we saw that big time throughout that 3 years or whatever it was in COVID, where people were searching for deeper meaning, realization of that, how connectedness was so important. It's so necessary, like seeking support and looking deeper, because again, we were forced to, in a sense. We were locked down, we were with ourselves, and I feel like it's vital to continue on the trajectory of seeking for the answers, but seeking for the truth within us and who we are, and living a meaningful life, and all the things that may feel like a pipe dream for a lot of people. But I believe everything is possible, anything is possible, if we go in and we firstly are aware of ourselves, but also aware of what our needs are and what we need to move forward. That interconnectedness is a big part of that, and being in nature and connecting with our other people, which we have moved so far from now. Technology's got involved, and I'm not saying it's not a good thing. It's serving our purpose. Look at us here, from all around the world. Isn't this beautiful? That just makes my heart sing. It gives me goosebumps to think that I'm connecting with these beautiful women from all over the globe, and adapting, just being open, possibility, just being open to what is possible, and getting curious with what else is out there for you, and start asking those deeper questions. Otherwise, it can be a very, very, very lonely life. Right?
Yes.
When you feel because everybody's been living in separation for so long. It's time we all came back.
Yes.
Come back to each other. And through that, we're connecting with ourselves as well, because we're all learning and growing and evolving through everybody else's experience. And I just love this. You know, we need to learn how to reconnect with ourselves through other people as well, and Mother Earth and nature and everything that we've been given here. And it's not like that for some, right? I'm not, because there's a lot of shit happening in the world. But if we keep focusing on that, other than focusing on because we cannot change that, just focusing on what we can change, and that is ourselves and our perspective, and shine the light for that change to happen. And I think there's enough spiritual beings on the planet right now that can continue to do that. So that's my feeling.
Beautiful. Beautiful, very heartfelt. I could feel that. There's a couple of things I'd love to address with that. So with the internet, it is incredible, as you said, because we get to meet people from all around the globe, but it can also be quite destructive, can't it? So it's opened up. It's not that it's created more destruction. It's what it's done in a good way is showing us more of what is going on there so that we can be aware of it. But it's about, for me, balance, having that balance and using the internet for good things like connection and discussion and building your tribe. And one of the things that I have come to, and I haven't had the energy, and once I find a place to live and move and settle, I want to come back and have more balance with doing online, which I love because I have, over the years, I've made so many amazing friends that I never, ever would have had without the internet. But I also have a strong desire to come back to local and have that face-to-face connection. And with talking with people recently, I've found that a lot of people in micro businesses like ours or small businesses are feeling the same, which is really good because it's a different kind of connection. So I really love that. That was so heartfelt. And I agree with you, Joe. There are some things that are just beyond what we can do right here and now. And it's even more important to bring it back to ourselves, work with ourselves, heal ourselves to transform, to alchemize. It's so important. And the thing is we know it's not a one-stop, you get on the bus, go to a certain place, and then you get off and that's it. It's a lifetime. It's the whole journey, which I find actually quite exciting. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, not again, but you get back up. And then what I tend to do is just astrologically, I've got a lot of stuff in the 8th house, which is all about life, death, rebirth. So there's constant challenges for transformation. My whole life, I was so grateful when I discovered that in astrology, because I thought, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. This is my path. This is my journey. And what I focus on, and this is just for everybody, is I know that I'm going to get through it. And I always look at the fact that I'm going to rise once again, having learnt something from that experience. And that for me is alchemical as well. So it's knowing it's going to be okay. It's not fun going through it, but it's going to be okay. Ladies, would you or do you have a special offer that you would like to share with our audience, and remembering that your links will be in the bottom for everybody to connect with you. So let me know if you do. Let us know. Jo.
Yes, I would love to offer our community or anyone watching this in other communities a 30-minute energetic experience. I also work with frequencies, so I find it's a really beautiful, gateway into a specific area of your life that you want to start to transform, you want to start to move and shift, because energy frequency is just incredible, and we're all connected in that. But yeah, I've had some pretty profound shifts with my clients just in one session. So a 30-minute experience, if you would like that in an area of your life that you are feeling challenged with right now, you will get me for 5 days, not physically, but sending you these frequencies that can help shift or get you on the trajectory to shift what it is you're working through. So that's my little offer today.
Beautiful. And again, just to remind everybody, they can connect in with you through your links at the bottom of this. Elizabeth.
Thank you. I have an offer of, I think it's a booklet of 8 ancestral clearing prayers. I think it's 8, it might be 10, in different aspects of whatever kind of burden you might be carrying now, around, say, renewal, around any blocks around abundance, also blocks around grief, maybe, issues around just kind of stuck energy in different ways. We use the word prayer because we're actually bringing in, calling in a creator energy, source energy to help us clear. So each prayer is encoded with this consciousness in it, and they're very powerful. So that's a lovely free thing you can get on my website for sure. Yep.
Beautiful.
My resource page. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. And Jessica?
Yeah, I would like to offer 30 minutes of empathic listening, because I think people don't always get those 30 minutes of I'm listening to you and I am giving you my full attention. So it starts and ends with a prayer, but what you want to say, of course, is confidential. And I believe that this is really important just to get unstuck, the first stages of unstuckness.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. What I can offer you is a small bundle of PDFs or mini ebooks with essential oil diffuser blends in for your sacred sensuality. And I'm just pulling them up here. There's one on sacred sensuality. There is one on the 8 moon phases, if you want to follow the cycles of the moon. And I also have another one on Venus and Lilith, the goddesses Venus and Lilith, because we all have those archetypal energies and planet in our astrological chart, and they're both very powerful goddesses, and so we can tap into those archetypal energies. So if you would like those 3 mini books, then yeah, contact me through Facebook or let me know in the comments below, and I will send them over. I'll send the links over to you to download. This has been fabulous. Thank you, ladies. I had lots of goosebumps during this, and I know I got a bit loud and excited, because I do when I get excited and passionate. Some people say to me, shh, Julie. And I can't help it. I'm very excitable. And I just want to let our audience know also that we have an offer to join the Sacred You community for $1, $1, which is unbelievably remarkable, to join the Sacred You community for 2 weeks. And that way you get to explore our tribe meetings, which are only for members. And I have a tribe called the Bewitching Tribe, which I think you can guess what's in it, but everything that I do. So it's very eclectic. Jo, would you like to introduce your tribe?
Yes, I have a tribe for women. We meet once a week for an hour, and we talk about everything empowerment. And it is beautiful. It's a sacred space for you to come and just be and learn and hear and share if you choose to. But usually we come up with a topic, or it's guided by the group, and it's called Empowering You to Live Your Best Life. So come and have a little look. Have some fun.
Beautiful name. And you don't have a tribe, do you, Elizabeth or Jessica? No, no. But there are 20 odd tribes that you have access to, and all the past, the recordings from every meeting that we've done. So with that $1 US, which works out to be, I think, just under $2 Australian, for 2 weeks you get to explore it. And then if you align with it, you can then join us for, is it $25 a month? Please correct me if I'm incorrect. And we really are about building community. And it's very safe, as you've met some of the women here today, a beautiful, empowering place. We would love, love, love to have you join us. And we've got a minute. So does anybody have a last word that they would like to put out there that people can perhaps create an affirmation from? Jo.
Yeah, last word. I feel like I need to just say, wherever you are at on your journey is absolutely amazing. And if you just can do one thing every day for yourself outside of anything else, to connect with yourself, make it happen.
Ah, beautiful. So they're in the perfect place at the perfect time. Yeah. Elizabeth, thank you, Jo.
I'd like to add that there's nothing actually woo-woo about spiritual alchemy. It's utterly practical. I have a friend who says, if it's practical, it's spiritual. So I'm just, encouraging anyone that's going, what is this stuff they're talking about, to hang on to that in this space. Thank you.
I truly love that, Elizabeth. And I despise the word woo-woo. I think it's very shallow. Sorry if anybody likes to use it. It's really funny how the word triggers me, because I don't think it embodies what everything that we do, or encompasses everything that we do. I don't know who came out with that saying, but anyway, I love that. It is practical. So thank you. And Jessica.
Well, I'd just like to invite people, if they're feeling down, we tend to look down when we're feeling down. And if you just look up for a couple of minutes, just that change in your physiology, you'll feel much different and much better.
Maybe that's why I love stargazing and moonbathing and just looking up. And I've done it since I was a child. That is beautiful and simple. And I'm going to say one thing you can do every day, whether it be to yourself in a mirror or to somebody you're passing by on a street. is smile, because smiles are magical. Wow, thank you, everybody. This has just been so beautiful.
Thank you, Julie, for hosting, and ladies, lovely to meet you, and the audience for watching.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone.